He was fine when he left the operating room. Now, just so you don't think it's like, come from strange things, there are people who have sat for the board who started from all and have passed and have come from different walks of life. Neurologists comprise the most numerous of the neurointensivists, neurosurgeons as well. There are general trauma critical care surgeons, and I know of at least 6 more that will be taking the board. This is the last year to be grandfathered in on, if you will, credit for time served. And a few more emergency physicians and anesthesiologists. And exactly where it is, as Dr. Smith started, is this is something that's blended and has come in from taking knowledge from a lot of different places and just trying to concentrate somewhere. Right? And there's a whole list of these diseases that we say it only scratches the surface. It's enough. But the idea is that you are comfortable with either it's happened to the nervous system, or the nervous system is an innocent bystander of some other disaster that's happened. Cardiac arrest being an example. Diabetic disasters. Severe chest trauma. And, we got these things, and we're after, how are we doing on time here? I hope I'm over
20 minutes.
You do it. Oh, darn, I got all this time left. There's a whole bunch of these procedures that crossed a lot. And historically you look at them and say, so one of the things probably that's the most contentious, and even when we were drawing up the guidelines for training and certification, that came up was the issue of intracranial monitoring. And the neurosurgeon said, excuse me, that's brain surgery. Oh, not really, it's drilling a hole. And didn't you teach me and tell me that it was so easy a monkey could do it, or we just call me the monkey? But it became very contentious. And we look back, and we were founding a society, went to one of these old fogies that was lying around, in cobwebs around. Bob Wilson is one of the greatest, most helpful people I've ever met. And he's one of the original founders of the Society of Critical Care Medicine. And I said, well, what do we do with this whole thing, and training and whatever? And it's like, and there used to be this belief, I just didn't remember, maybe it's back in those pre-CT days, pulmonary artery catheters, well, only if you were a cardiologist or a chest surgeon. Central venous cath, you could do serious damage here. But if you learned how to do it, you learned how to deal with the complicated, etc. And this has become sort of the last big piece of argument, I think, in the 2 specialties. But I was trained. I did more than most residents, actually, when I was a fellow, and showed up in the doorstep. And my chairman, when I arrived in Detroit, Fernando Diaz, who's, I hope I get this already, MD, MBA, PhD, JD. Well, that JD, of course, is the big one. Yours, Doctor. That's early. And he said, well, can't tell you no, that's restriction of trade. But we're going to watch you like a hawk. But it was great because he looked at me and he's a Mexican-American. So he said, Bill, why do you want to go over there to Detroit receiving the Denver Health of Denver General of Detroit? Detroit is so messy. Well, good. Nobody else wants to do it. Perfect. And so what happened? Because we were scared, we were being wanted, whatever the reason, is complication rates, bleeding, infection, replacement, et cetera, all decreased in negligible amounts. These are all published data elsewhere. Right? From neurointensivists taking over and actually staying dedicated to the placement of monitors, drains, et cetera, in the care. So as an example, and they, of course, intubation, pulled out the anesthesiologist. It's somebody who's trained and cares about what it is that they're doing, and that there are monitoring procedures to monitor what they're doing. So these are a lot, and it's lots of exceptions. But there are these other pieces that come that are not the general medical, surgical, critical care people. So we had to do everything they do plus some more. It just resizes. Oh, that's right. Time for another 50 rotation, and I noticed that somebody whose tie selection matches his shirt less than mine. And a lot of it also had to do where I think we gained a lot of trust from the nurses, and where neurosurgeons in particular, oh, they were so happy. I think, it's going to be a very difficult discussion to talk here with, Mr. Fussenberger's family. I'm glad you're able to do that. Thank you. A lot of it was taking, and a lot of it was learning what was a good outcome. And if you look at papers written in the 1980s and early 90s, good outcome. Even into 1995, what we would now call severe disability was a good outcome because you were awake. And there's a shift, where that becomes poor outcome, to be severely dependently disabled, vegetative, or dead, which many would argue along. And a lot of it was beginning to find what's the difference in what families will accept, what patients will accept, as opposed to, look at that aneurysm clip, isn't that beautiful? Anything else? Anything else I should move on to other diseases?
No, aneurysms are great. Yeah, neurosurgeons love to stand up in meetings and like they got the tiger by the tail and posture their rifle on their shoulder and say, yes, look at this wonderful x-ray, this angiogram, perfectly clipped, complicated aneurysm. Oh, never mind that the patient is vegetative. The outcome is perfect. You can see from the x-ray.
This guy became famous sort of as a clown named the Hunter's Bang Patch. They've heard of him a lot here. But that became, very much the issue. And so, possibly one of the best calls I get is, from a nurse with the American Brain Injury Consortium, like, Bill, yes, your mortality rates are unacceptable. They've increased by almost 25% in the last year. Yes. Where did they come from? What percentage? Oh, your severe disability rates have decreased by 35%. So, talking to family, what was acceptable? What was not acceptable? He's so young, he's only 26. Yeah. Remember, because this is a disease, right? Severe traumatic brain injury, this is a disease of otherwise young, healthy males doing stupid things to impress the ladies. Basic description, you look at Wikipedia, try to get that definition in there. But maybe we can't, or that's not what they would want. So, shifted, if mortality is increasing and severe disability is going down, is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't have an answer, I'm not preaching it, I'm just telling you one man's observation. So, and so what do you need when you go out? It's not just, I don't know what he does, but we have a neurointensivist. That sounds kind of cute, I want one too. And there are plenty of programs like that around the country. And then what you need is people involved. Now, that doesn't mean 24/7, they have to be standing there at the bedside, looking like Snoopy sitting on a branch, as a vulture. Peanuts fans, right? And some would say that you probably need at least 3 people so that you don't kill them all, because it never quite works to just be distant, consultative, and so on. But right now there's more need than there are us, right? And it certainly obviously works better when everybody works together, or when the division of labor makes everybody happy, and and to have a team that's in charge for decisions. You're here later than he was. And so maybe it's like this. I don't know. I don't view them as sheep. The reality is I view it much more like this, trying to gain buy-in, and that pretty much describes why this is such a difficult job and why there are enough of us, because otherwise everybody would flock to it. The other thing in planning programs, is to know something about your geography. Obviously, who's my competition? Where are the patients? Where is this coming? Who could actually be helped by this? When we're over our heads, where am I going to turn for help? I'm sorry, I exclude, of course, then you're never over your heads. Thank you for taking the brunt for a little. Organizing their surgery.
He can say it.
You know, but know your pre-hospital, you know, where you're medical, what are they, what's happening? What are they doing? Have they done everything they can to ensure that what we get is the best we can get? It's outside, it's taking care of these patients is outside the boundaries of just the hospital. As I say, both, you know, make a decision. You're gonna take care of trauma or not. Well, you know, it's good, problem. We've got the big trauma center. Are you gonna take care of these patients or not? And it's not just, well, that's the girl's evacuated. There's a lot more to it. And then there's the issue of these primary and comprehensive stroke centers. And obviously, you know, the comprehensive, this is the first time that they've gone ahead and said, like, you've got to be able to do this kind of stuff, where you're not really comprehensive. And yes, this isn't for everybody. There aren't enough neurointensivists around to fill potential slots. And then you've got the bean counters. And people, you need somebody at the vice president level or higher. I'm assuming that's when Greg Portis sent us out of Dallas. You're from here, and so maybe that was it. And then you need nursing administration. And it's nice when these people are actually one and the same, right? It's great when the administrator actually used to take care of patients. But you need somebody at the bedside too. You need somebody in the trenches. The first time in the world, the stretch. But development also, as I mentioned, you know, who's your referring hospitals, where, you know, who can you help, who can you not? Who's going to help you? And these you need people who are skilled. And obviously you're going nowhere if the hospital cannot in some way at least not lose its shirt trying to take care of this. And then you got to go through physician recruitment. And then, you know, flying them on turbulent flights, sticking them in Motel 6, you know, maybe even lecture in front, actually, for a nice hotel. It was a horrible flight. That's what that. Right? It's a process. You can't, you know, snap your fingers. It doesn't work like that. You know, so you and the other thing that neurointensivists have to do within the institution is go forth. Right? The same way you have to worry what's your pre-hospital situation, what's your pre-ICU situation. Pre-ICU is the emergency department. And what's happening there? What are we doing there? And it's not just, oh yes, well, you know, fine, we admit these patients. It's being down there and not, you know, doing nothing but complaining. And then there's the community education issue, right? Can't tell you, you know, the various and sundry things testifying, you know, about 10 years, you know, around the turn of the century, the incidence of severe traumatic brain injury in this country dropped by about a third, like almost overnight, in the course of 2 or 3 years. One simple thing. Airbags, their penetration in the U.S. car market crossed over 70%. Amazing. Well, you know, these things, you know, they could hurt, suffocate, and dust in my eyes, and whatever. It's like, you know, you fools, these things save lives. Anybody here disconnected their airbags? If you're over 5. Be honest. Good.
We wear helmets with them.
Who doesn't wear It's all right, I'm probably not there. Just because of what I do when kids were learning to ski, I wanted helmets, cervical collars on them, the whole thing. Who doesn't wear their seatbelt regularly? Come on, there's always somebody. Motorcycle? You ride a bike? Wear a seatbelt?
That's narrative.
That's really good. That would be an excellent fulcrum.
They are making motorcycles with
That would be an excellent fulcrum. It'd be great if it wrapped and held you on. No, I'm not getting religious here. Part of the rest of the thing is always this issue of some of these diseases are what administrators like to call lost leaders. And well, there's a fixed amount, you know, for a DRG, and you're not going to get it because they spent too long at the other hospital, but the other hospital is calling for help. You know. Eventually, you take enough of those, they're also going to want to call you sooner. It's either going to get into trouble, but some of the others is that the hospital cannot lose its shirt trying to do this thing unless got a public mandate. I'm somewhere to the left of Ralph Nader or anybody, you know, because somewhere along somebody's got to take care of these people. We can't just leave them in the street. And if you believe that the measure of society is how they deal with their downtrodden, you know. And this is part of regionalization of neurotrauma care, for instance, right? Because that's probably the least sexy of all of this stuff. Starting to get all these pictures and endovascular stuff and aneurysms. You got, you know, surgeons to fight with radiologists and neurologists, and I won't do it. You know, it's there's deep brain stimulation and whacking out, you know, epilepsy surgeries and all this good stuff. You know, with the trauma patient. Well, you know, financially disadvantaged 26-year-old male doing stupid things to impress the ladies. If I sound flippant in any way about any of this, please understand I'm not. I'm extremely passionate about this stuff. And then you got this, you know, what do you got here? And this is part of, you know, became the thing. Well, we've outgrown, you know, we've successfully turned this place into a referral center, and we need more space, more beds. Well, you know, right now we have we have the cardiac surgeon came in on his white horse this morning and, you know, wanted this, you know, particular machine, and you lost, you know. But somewhere there's a thing. And then there's the issue of research. Now I know here you all do brain trauma research. Somebody's going to tell us all about it. That was it next. And this is a shut up, get out of the way. And research is actually something because people say, well, you know, it's extra expenditure, but it's a great advertising point. Particularly clinical research, but you can go out, you know, to other people. It's, you know, we do this, and it actually attracts. Well, it may get the interest of some physician, but yeah, there's always going to be those that say, oh, I wouldn't be a guinea pig in that. You know? Those that will say, well, you know, maybe that's kind of interesting. They're on the forefront. I'm going to go there and kind of do that. But it's, you know, it's great advertising too. And I guess plans are hopefully to get further. And then you gotta, you know, you pick something. Not everything that's new is necessarily a good idea. Right? There are those people recognize this. Does that right? Netflix, they, you know, a well-known organization coming there. Oh, we're going to change it. Yeah, this was a bad. This is like the new Coke of our century. Right? You know, and sometimes, as I mentioned, we're blown up by our own bomb. We're victims of our own success. You know, well, everybody wants to, you know, this guy's going to get sick in 3 days. We've gone out and we've taught this other hospital what's going to happen, you know, to this. And we've shown what we can do or otherwise. And we've been willing to help them in the middle of the night. And we don't argue whether the patient has insurance or how sick they are and so on and so forth. And suddenly we're out of beds. Well, we want more beds. Well, you know, your contribution margin was a little less than that of whatever is, you know, Sir Galahad, the chest surgeon. Right? And so sometimes we run into trouble this way. But when we put these things on, I think that that obviously we've shown that this is something that's new, it's here to stay. It's now part of guidelines for dealing with, for comprehensive stroke centers. The benefit to intracerebral hemorrhage and trauma patients has been shown in before and after studies, and the surgical literature no less. Right? And with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions. I hope I've annoyed and insulted everybody equally. I'm not trying to show any favorites. And thank you again, Dr. Lee, for taking the run for all of organized surgery today. Thank you.
You get your questions later.
Huh?
You get your questions later.
Uh-oh.
I think everybody's still asleep.
Yes. Perfect.
They'll wake up later.